Hello, third graders. Today we're going to be talking about equivalent fractions. And I'm going to be using my little pointer. So, equivalent fractions. Hopefully you've already watched the video on Brain Pop, so you know a little bit about it. Equivalent, say that with me. Equivalent means equal. And that's why we have our little equal sign here. So, two fractions are equivalent if they are the same size or at the same point on a number line. So that gives you an idea of how we can find equivalent fractions. They're the same size or at the same point on a number line. And there's a handy dandy way that we can check to see if fractions are equivalent. Always check with cross multiplication. So you can multiply the numerator denominator and the numerator denominator. If those are equal, then your fractions are equivalent. So let me show you some examples. So here's an example of 2/4, and here's an example of 1/2. 2/4 are shaded, 1/2 is shaded, and they are the same size, so they're equivalent. Here's another example. It's a square this time, but still it's 1/2, and now it's 4/8. So 1/2 is shaded, 4/8 are shaded. They're the same size, so they are equivalent. Let's look down here on the number line. This number line is divided into 4 sections, and here's 3/4. This number line, same size, is divided into, it looks like 8 sections, and here is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and here is 6/8. It's at the exact same place on the number line as 3/4, so these two fractions are equivalent. And finally, here we have a section that is divided into 2 pieces, 1/2, 1/2, and a section that's divided up into 6 pieces, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6. So here, 1/2 is shaded, 3/6 are shaded. They're the same size, so these fractions are equivalent. Here's some examples of fractions that are not equivalent. 1/4 and 1/2. They're not taking up the same space, they're not the same size, they're not equivalent, okay? These fractions are not at the same point on the number line, they're not equivalent. These fractions are not the same size, not equivalent. And these fractions are not the same size or shape, so they're not going to be able to be equivalent, okay? So let's look at an example of a couple of those. It's going to be really helpful for you during this lesson to have your fraction pieces and to also have paper and a pencil, because we'll do a couple things together. You might also want a marker or a colored pencil. So if you need to, you can pause, go get those things, and then come back. So let's find a fraction that's equivalent to 1/2, okay? I know that 1/2, when it's divided, can be made into 4ths, and it can also be made into 8ths. So let's see how many 4ths are equivalent to 1/2. I'm going to stack them up right next to each other. Make sure that they're the exact same size. So I can see now that 1/2 is equivalent or equal to 2/4. Let's go ahead and check that a couple different ways. So again, I could show the same thing as fraction pieces. So let's show 1/2 here. Divide it into 2. Color one piece. Is this going to be equal to 2/4? I think so. Divide it into 4. Color 2. They're equal. They're equivalent. So 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. Let's try it one more way with the number line. So our number lines are lined up. They're the same length. I can even use one number line if I wanted to, but I'll show it to you this way first. My first number line, 0, 1, and it's going to be divided into 2, right? Here is 1/2. My second number line, 0, 1, it's going to be divided into 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now 2/4 would be 1, 2 here. So 2/4, 1/2, they're at the same place on the number line, so we know they're equivalent. Okay, I want to show you the trick. If you're not totally sure, maybe you use these, you draw a picture, you draw a number line, and you're still not sure, you want to check your work, here's how we do it. we're going to cross multiply. So you're going to draw kind of a circle around the numerator and the denominator of the first and second fraction. Then you're going to multiply. So we'll multiply 1 times 4. What is it? 4. You were right if you said 4. And then same thing. We'll draw a circle around the denominator and numerator of the first and second fraction. 2 times 2 is, if you got 4, you're correct. So doing that cross multiplying lets me know that my fractions are equivalent if the two numbers I get are the same. Okay, so that is equivalent fractions for you all. Now we're going to practice a little bit. So again, you want to have with you a piece of paper, pencil or pen, and maybe even a colored pencil or marker. The poster that we just looked at will be available to you on Google Drive, okay? So let's work on modeling some equivalent fractions first today. Again, sheet of paper, crayon, or colored pencil. So I have my sheet of paper here. Blank paper is kind of best, but if it has lines, that's okay. 2 or more fractions that name the same amount are called what? Equivalent fractions. We just learned that. You can use a sheet of paper to model fractions equivalent to 1/2. So we'll do that. First, take your paper. Fold it in half. Okay? Fold it in half, just like I did. Now you have 2 equal parts. Open the paper, count the parts. So how many pieces do you have now that you folded your paper in half? There are how many equal parts? 2 is correct. Each part is 1/2 of the paper, okay? We're gonna now shade one of the halves. So here's where you will need your colored pencil or maybe marker. Shade 1/2 of your paper. So now you should have a paper that has 2 sides. It's labeled 1/2, 1/2 on either side, and one side is shaded. Okay. Next, we're gonna fold the paper in half 2 times. So you've got both sides out right now. Fold it in half again, just like you did the first time, and then fold it in half one more time. Okay, crease it. When you unfold it, now count how many equal parts of your paper are there. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So now there are 4 equal parts. Each part is how much of the paper? When you have 4 parts, how much is one of those parts? If you said 1/4, you're correct. So now we're gonna write 1/4 on each of the fourths. So I'm gonna kind of do 1/4, maybe like in the center of it. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Okay, so now I've got my paper divided first into halves, now into fourths. Now look at the shaded part over here, right? This is all 1/2. It is also 2/4. So from this model, we can see that 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent. 1/2 equals 2/4. They're the same. Okay, last, fold the paper in half 3 times. So take your paper nice and big, fold it in half the first way, fold it in half the second way, and then fold it in half one more time. Crease it. Now, when you unfold it, how many parts do you count? I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 parts. So now there are 8 equal parts. What is one of those parts called when you have 1 out of 8? 1/8 or eighths are what those are called. So now we're gonna write 1/8 on each of the eighths. So it's getting a little crowded, but we can squeeze it in. So on each of the eighths, go ahead and write 1/8. Okay. So once you're done with that, look again at the shaded side, the 1/2 that you shaded a color. And we know that this 1/2 is equal to 2/4 because we can see them here. But how many 8s also make up the same size as 1/2? Let's write it all down. So we know that 1/2, we know that 2/4, and 1, 2, 3, 4 8s are all equivalent. So you can go ahead and hold on to this paper as your model for a couple equivalent fractions. It can always help you know that 1/2 is equal to 2/4 is equal to 4 8s. Good work. You can take a picture of this and post it so we know that you did it. All right, let's practice a couple of these kind of things together. All right. How can we use now a number line to find equivalent fractions? We already did it with a model. Now we're going to look at it on a number line, and then we're going to practice using either fraction strips to model or number lines to find equivalent fractions. So here's how we can use the number line. Find a fraction equivalent to 2/3. Okay, so here's 2/3 on the number line. Let's put a dot there. And that's the very first step. Draw a point on the number line to represent the distance 2/3. Then we can use some fraction strips if they're the right size, or we can just sort of look at it and divide the number line into 6. At the end of each strip, draw a mark on the number line and label the marks to show 6. So the problem with my strips is that they're a little bit bigger than their 6 are, so I'm just gonna have to use my eyes. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get out fraction strips as well. So let's go ahead and use the number line first. So right now, the line is divided into thirds. 1, 2, 3, and here's 2/3. So now we need to divide it into 6. So 1/6 they already done for you, right? 2/6 is going to be here. So then I know this could be 3/6, that could be 4/6, 5/6, and then this could be 6/6, okay? So now that we drew all the marks, let's label them as well. So 0/6, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6, the same as a whole at like 3/3, okay? So now we have two different types of fractions labeled on the same number line. And again, the question was, find a fraction equivalent, which means equal to 2/3. So here's where our dot of 2/3 is. Now that we've drawn all of our 6, let's see what's the same. It looks like 4/6 is the same as 2/3. So 2/3 equals 4/6. That's how we show their equivalent. Let's go ahead and check that, make sure that we got it right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put out 5/6 of my fraction strips. And at the same time underneath it, just like I'm making a number line, I'm gonna do 2/3. Oops, 4/6, that's what I did wrong there. Even teachers mess up, and it helps us to be able to check our work just like you guys do. So 4/6, 2/3, they're the exact same, so I know they're equivalent. One more way you can check it is cross multiplying. Let's try that together. 4/6, 2/3. If this is true, we can cross multiply. So I'm going to circle them and then I'll multiply. 3 times 4, what is it? 12 is correct if you got that. 6 times 2, what is it? 12 is correct if you got that. So I now know that these are equivalent fractions. Okay, let's do a couple practices together and then you'll go on and do some more on your own. All right, so share and show. Now is a good time to have your paper pencil out. You're gonna record a little bit of this as we do it so that when you come time to do your own, you kind of know what to do. Okay, share and show. Shade the model, then divide the pieces to find the equivalent fraction. So just like it says number 1 on my paper, you guys are gonna copy down number 1, You're going to draw a rectangle. It's going to be broken into 4 equal parts, or fourths. Okay, and then you're going to show 1/4 is equal to how many eighths. Okay, so let me show you how this is done. Shade the model. So first we want to show 1/4. So I'm going to shade 1 of the 4 pieces. Now we have 1/4 shown. Then divide the pieces to find equivalent fractions. Now I need to divide up so I have 8 pieces. So think of how we folded our paper. It's like we're folding this shape one more time. So instead of just 4 pieces, I'll split it in half. Now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So I already shaded 1/4. How many eighths are the same as 1/4? 1, 2. 1/4 is equivalent to 2 eighths. You can cross multiply to check your work if you would like. 8 times 1, 4 times 2, correct. Okay, number 2. Okay, so number 2 over here on our paper, same thing. Draw the fraction. It's broken into thirds, and then we have to find what's equivalent. So 2/3 is equivalent to how many sixths? So first, shade 2/3. Okay, 2/3 is shaded. Then I need to divide the pieces to find my next fraction. So instead of 3 pieces, I need to make 6 pieces. So if I cut each piece in half, that should make 6. Now, how many sixths are the same as the 2/3 that I already shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. And you can also use your fraction pieces to check that. So there's 2/3. Here's 4/6. Are they going to be equal? Yes. So that's another way to check your work on your model. Okay, let's do about 2 more of these. I'm gonna go ahead and erase what we've got so far, and then you'll have a little work to do on your own at home. All right, so the last 2 are number line. Use number line to find the equivalent fraction. So here, we might not really have to draw much except for putting a dot. So let's look at our number line. If you don't have this paper in front of you, you will need to draw it at home. So I'll do that with you. So at the beginning, we have 0 halves, 1 half in the middle, 2 halves at the end, okay? Then it's also broken into, sorry about that glare, then it's also broken into sixths. So 0/6, then there's 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6. So we need to find what is equivalent to 1/2. How many sixths? So find 1/2 on the number line, put a dot, and then at the top see what is equivalent. 3/6 is equivalent. Again, cross multiply to check your work, or use your fraction strips. Okay, last one we're gonna do together, number 4 over here. Another number line. So draw your number line. On the bottom, it's divided into fourths. 0/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Cool. So then think about the paper, just like we did. Now all those fourths are divided into eighths. So at the top, 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and little mistake there, 8/8. Okay, so here's what we need to find is equivalent. 3/4 is equal to how many eighths? So let's put a dot at 3/4. And then look above it and see which fraction is there. 6/8 So those are equivalent. All right, third graders, great work. You're gonna have a couple activities to do at home after this. One of them is going to be these equivalent fractions cards. So as you're trying to find the equivalent fraction, you have a couple strategies. You can do a number line. You can use your fraction strips. You can draw the fractions as a shape and compare them. Once you find the number on top that is correct, cross multiply to find your answer. Let's do this one together and then we'll be done. So first way I could show this is I could draw a shape. Okay, so let's show 1/4. And here we'll try to make it into 8ths. Okay, 1/4. How many 8ths would be equal to that? Well, it looks like this and this. So that makes me think that 1/4 is equal to 2/8. Let's check and see if that's right. Let's show it now in our fraction strips. Here's 1/4. Gonna get some 8ths out. 1/8, 2/8. They look equivalent to me. Finally, let's cross multiply to see if we're correct. 8 times 1, 8. 4 times 2, 8. Our answer is correct. All right, third graders, good luck and have fun with the rest of your work.